We begin the Gemara today at Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis, 6 or 7 lines up from the bottom of the Amud, where it says V'su mitzvah saseh. So before we begin, the Gemara before was discussing the source for mitzvah saseh shazman grame, that women are potter. Basically, what the Gemara did was it brought two mitzvahs where we see that they're potter, and they were the mitzvahs of tefillin and re'iyah, that to be a regal and to bring the carbon. And the Gemara explained that we can learn from there. Why? Because they're not considered to be shnei ksuvim abam kechad. They're not two psukim and then it becomes exclusive and you can't learn out from it. The Gemara explained because both psukim are needed. That's regarding, so we can learn out from there mitzvah shazman grama. But then the thing is, there's another two mitzvahs which are also mitzvah shazman grama, where we see that nashim are chayiv. What are those mitzvahs? Matzah and hakal. So why don't we learn from there? So the Gemara tried to say that they're shnei ksuvim abam kechad. They're two psukim, so you can't learn from there. That was the conclusion of the Gemara actually. But the Gemara asked, there is a man da'ama that holds that even when it's shnei ksuvim abam kechad, you can still learn out from there. So if so, the question sort of remains, why are we learning out from tefillin or from re'iyah to say that women are potter from mitzvah shazman grama? According to this mandama that you could learn from Shnei Ksuvim, let's learn out from Matzah and Hakal together to say that that's a source that in all of Torah, women are chayiv mitzvah shazman grama. So that remained the question. The Gemara doesn't answer this right here. The Gemara now begins the discussion regarding the source. From where do we know that women are chayiv and mitzvah she'ein hazman grama? So furthermore, the question is as follows: Mitzvah she'ein hazman grama nashim chayavos. The fact that women are obligated. In mitzvah that's not zman grama minola. What's the source for this? So the answer is the yalif mimayda. We learn out from the mitzvah of mayda aveim, to fear father and mother. Ma mayda, just like there, nashim chayaves, women are obligated, as we learned before in the Gemara. It says ish imay va'aviv tira'u. It uses a plural term, so women are chayiv. Av kol mitzvah shaloy zman grama nashim chayaves. So from there we learn any mitzvah that's not zman grama, women are obligated. So over here, we could also ask as follows: V'neilif mit Talmud Torah. Why don't we learn out from Talmud Torah that women are potter, and that's not a mitzvah shazman grama? So that should be a source for all mitzvahs that women are potter. Answer is Mishum da'avalei Talmud Torah upiriya v'ribya shnei ksuvim abam kechad. Because besides Talmud Torah, there's another mitzvah that women are potter, and that's the mitzvah of having children. And these are two psukim that say the same thing. So once you have two psukim that say the same thing, it becomes exclusive. You can't learn anything from there. If the Torah repeats the same thing twice, it's to tell you that you can't learn from there. That explains, according to the accepted opinion usually in the Gemara, that Piri v'Ribya, women are potter. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Breike, his opinion is the Amar al Shneim u'aymer. Both regarding Adam and Chava, the pasuk is saying for the man and the woman, Vayevarech oisam elikim pruruvu. Hashem benches both of them and says to them pruruvu. So the mitzvah is actually for the man and the woman. So it comes out that Talmud Torah is the only mitzvah where the Torah says that women are potter. So I should learn from Talmud Torah, to all of Torah, that women are potter from mitzvah say that is not zman grama. So what are we going to say? Answers the Gemara, Mishum dahava Talmud Torah pidyin haben shnei ksuvim abam kechad. So even according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Breike, there's another mitzvah which is not zman grama and women are potter, and that's Talmud Torah and pidyin haben. So therefore we can't learn out from them chol shnei ksuvim abam kechad ein melamdim. We don't learn from two psukim together to any other place. The Gemara, but now the Gemara asks the reverse. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Breike nami, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Breike, nehavi piri v'ribya umayre. Why wouldn't I say now that here we have two mitzvahs that are not zman grama, piri v'ribya, that Rabbi Yochanan ben Breike says is chayiv, and mayre, that also the women are chayiv. So now they're shnei ksuvim abam ke'echad. These are two psukim regarding mitzvah say she'ein zman grama ve'im elamdim. You can't learn out. So our entire source that we brought before, from mitzvah say she'ein hazman grama, from mayra aveim, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Breike, you can't learn from there if there's now two psukim that say the same thing. So on this the Gemara answers tzrichi. It's not a question because it's not considered to be the Torah repeating the same thing twice, and you can't learn from here because both it's necessary for the Torah to say it. If the Torah would say regarding Meira Aveim that women are obligated, and it would not say regarding the mitzvah Piriviribya that women are obligated. So Nahava Mina, I would think, like the opinion which argues with Rabbi Yechon Membreke, the accepted opinion, the Kivshua Omerachmana. Regarding Piriviribya, the Torah uses the term Vikivshua to conquer, and from here we would say Ish the darke lichpaish in. A man, which it's customary for him to go out and conquer, so he's obligated in this mitzvah. Isha, the ein darke lichpaish, a woman, and it's not her way to go and conquer, loy, she's not obligated in this mitzvah. So the Torah had to specifically write this lashon of Yivarach Oisam Elakim, according to Rabbi Yechon Membreke, to say that women are included. On the other hand, Vikas of Piriviribya, Veloikas of Meira, if the Torah would only say that women are obligated in Piriviribya, and it wouldn't say that they're obligated for Meira Aveim, then I would have said that Ish, when it comes to a man, the Sipik Biyode Lasais, that he always has the ability to fulfill this mitzvah in, so the mitzvah applies to him. But Isha, when it comes to a woman, the Ein Sipik Biyode Lasais, she doesn't always have the ability to fulfill the mitzvah, because once she's married, so then she has to be with her husband, and then she doesn't have to follow what her father wants from her. So when she's married, she can't fulfill the mitzvah. The kiven, the ein sipik biyad lasais. So since she doesn't have the ability to fulfill the mitzvah, like this chayiv klal, maybe she should never be chayiv, even when she's single. The fact that we see that in much of her life it's impossible for her to do it, so shouldn't that be a sign that maybe she should never be chayiv? So therefore, tzricha, the Torah says no, ishi mevavev tiro, that when she can, she is obligated in this mitzvah. So therefore, it comes out that this is not shnei ksuv mabom kechad. But now the Gemara asks the answer that we gave before. What did we say before? That we can't learn out from Piri V'Ribya, or we can't learn out from Talmud Torah. That is right. We can't learn from Talmud Torah that women are potter, because either Talmud Torah and Piri V'Ribya are shnei ksuvim, that we don't learn from there that women are potter from mitzvah saseh she'ein azman grama, or the Gemara said Talmud Torah and Pidyon Haben are two psukim that we can't learn from there. But now the Gemara asks a similar question to what it asked before. This is all a good answer. The opinion that says that when you have two psukim and the Torah repeats the same thing, you can't learn from there. It can't become a rule for any other place. But the opinion that says that even when the Torah says the same thing twice, you still could learn from it. What are we going to say? So the question basically is, why don't we learn from Talmud Torah and Piri V'Ribya? Or according to Rabbi Yechon Membreke, from Talmud Torah and Pidyon Haben, that it should become a rule for the rest of Torah that mitzvah say she'ein azman grama, that noshim are going to be potter, that is noshim are potter. And now let's not forget the Gemara asked before a similar question, that according to the Mandama that says that you could learn from two psukim. So why don't we learn from matzah and hakel, which are both a mitzvah seisha zman grama, and there women are chayiv? Maybe that should become a rule for all the Torah, that mitzvah seisha zman grama, women are chayiv. So these are two questions here according to this mandama. I saw brought down the explanation for this mandama that says that even when the Torah repeats something twice, you still can learn from there. Why don't they say that the Torah repeats it twice for the reason to make it exclusive? So he says a similar rule to what we found earlier in the Masechta here, that sometimes something that you could understand on your own, the Torah repeats it. If you remember, the Gemara said that it's something you could learn from a Kav Chaimer, Torach v'Kasav Lekra. Sometimes the Torah will write it anyways. So the fact that the Torah repeats something twice is not necessarily an indication that you can't learn from there. Sometimes the Torah will repeat something twice, but it's not a sign that you can't learn, but you can still learn out to other places. So according to that Manda Omar, this still remains a question. So the Gemara answers, Omar Rave said to answer according to this Manda Omar as follows. Papunoi Yodil Alatayim Adamilse. The students of the city, Papuna, so they know the answer to this question. Now, Manu, who was one of the students there in the city of Papuna, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov. This is Rav Acha Bar Yaakov. Now, what the Gemara is going to do now here is, up until now, this whole limud that we were learning out, to say that women are potter from mitzvah seisha zman grama, and to say that women are chayiv and mitzvah seisha ein zman grama, we were just comparing, which is what's called a binyan av. The Torah says something in one place, and we create a rule from there to other places. But now here, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov brought that we actually learn it from a hekish. It's a stronger limud in the fact that in the pasuk you see the Torah puts together things, so that creates a real limud that women are going to be Potter from mitzvah seishas man grama and chayiv in mitzvah seishenas man grama. So what's this hekish? On Makra, the pasuk says, so that's the mitzvah of tefillin. And then it says right afterwards, Laman tiyeh teiris Hashem b'ficha. So the Torah of the Eibush should be in your mouth. So that's the mitzvah of learning Torah. So here we have a hekish. Huksha kol ha-Torah kulo l'tefillin. Here, what it's saying is that we compare the entire Torah to tefillin. Ma tefillin mitzvah seishas man grama v'noshim p'turais. Just like tefillin is a mitzvah that's only for a certain time and noshim apoter. Avkol mitzvah seishas man grama noshim p'turais. This is a hekish, a source, a clear source that's saying that women are poter. So you can't ask me a question, you should learn out from Matzah and Hakel to say that women should be chayiv in mitzvah seishas man grama. If it's a binyanad, you could start asking, maybe you learn from tefillin and the re'iyah, or maybe you learn from Matzah and Hakel. But here we have a clear hekish. So this hekish says that they're poter from mitzvah seishas man grama. Now the Gemara says from here we also learn we could be medayik the other din as well. The fact that the Torah is writing a special limit to say that for mitzvahs that's in a time, so then noshim apoter meklal. From this same hekesh, I also understand the mitzvah to say shaloyas man grome noshim chayavis. That the mitzvah that's not in a certain time, women are obligated. So therefore, the other question we asked that we should learn out from Talmud Torah and Piri V'Ribya, or Talmud Torah and Pidyon Aben, that noshim are potter in mitzvah seishenas man grama. But here, based on this hekish, we see that no, that in those mitzvahs women are chayiv. This is the teret that Rav Acha Bar Yaakov says. So we don't need any of the all the lemudim that we mentioned before. But now the Gemara has another question. This whole limud we just said will not work according to everybody. This is all good according to the opinion that says that tefillin is a mitzvah seishas man grama. The premise of this entire sugya right from the beginning was that tefillin is a mitzvah seishas man grama, either because you're not chayiv tefillin at night or because you're not chayiv in Shabbos. But there's another opinion which the Gemara is going to quote soon here that says tefillin mitzvah seishas lo as man grama. The tefillin is a mitzvah say that's not as man grama. You can put on tefillin at night. You're chayiv in tefillin on Shabbos as well. So what are we going to say? You can't learn it out from this drasha that Rav Acha Bar Yaakov just said. So if we're not learning it from this hekish, so where are we learning it out from? The only place that remains that you're able to learn it out from, before, the Gemara said that we find in the Torah clearly two mitzvah seishas man grama that the Torah says women are poter. Tefillin and re'iyah. Now tefillin was not going to be a source because he says it's a mitzvah seishas lo as man grama. So now the only source that's left is the mitzvah of re'iyah. Okay? So the Gemara says as follows. Man shametle the Amma tefillin mitzvah seishas lo as man grama. Who is the one that holds that tefillin is not a mitzvah seishas man grama? Rab Meir. Rab Meir says this. Now v'savala, Rab Meir also holds shnei ksuvim abam ke'echad v'chol shnei ksuvim abam ke'echad de melamdim. Rab Meir holds of this rule that any time you have two psukim that repeat the same point, you can't learn out from there. So if so, according to Rab Meir, we can go back to what we said before. We're going to learn the rule that women are potter from mitzvah seishas man grama from the mitzvah of re'iyah, not from tefillin, because tefillin is a mitzvah seishas man grama. We're going to learn from re'iyah. And we asked the question, let's learn out from matzah and hakel, which are both mitzvah seishas man grama, that women are chayiv, but it's shnei ksuvim. And Rab Meir's opinion is that it's shnei ksuvim abam ke'echad, ei melamdim. So we go back to the previous drasha according to Rab Meir. But the Gemara goes further. Oh, Rabbi Yehuda, the Amma, not Rabbi Yehuda, what's his opinion? The Amma, he holds shnei ksuvim abam ke'echad melamdim. He holds that when you have two psukim, you could learn out from there. And he also holds with tefillin mitzvah shelo zman grama. He says that tefillin is a mitzvah that's not zman grama. So ma'ikla meima, what are we going to say now? So you could learn out the halacha of women being potter of mitzvah zman grama from re'iyah. But on the other hand, though, you could also learn out from matzah and hakel that they should be chayiv. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, when the shnei ksuvim, you could learn out. So now we're back to the same question that we asked in the beginning. Why are we learning out from re'iyah to say that they're potter? Instead, let's learn out from matzah and hakel that they're chayiv. So the Gemara answers, Mishum dehavoy matzah simcha v'hakel shloisha ksuvim abam ke'echad. Because you have three psukim, matzah and the mitzvah of simchas yomtiv and hakel. These are three psukim that are saying the same point, that women are chayiv. So Rashi clarifies here. We had before in the Gemara in Daf Lamed Daled where it said that really simcha is not the women's own mitzvah. It's the mitzvah of the husband to be misameach the wife. But here the Gemara is going back on that, or here at least this man Da'ama doesn't hold of what Abaye said before, and Simcha is the woman's own mitzvah. So therefore, the fact that we find in the Torah that it says that a woman is obligated in the mitzvah seishas mangrama, that's 3 mitzvahs. So even the man Da'ama that says that if the Torah repeats it twice, you could still learn from there, but if the Torah says it 3 times, you can't learn from there. If it's 3 psukim, then you can't learn out from there. So therefore, the conclusion is, according to Rabbi Yehuda, we learn the fact that they're pater from the mitzvah of Re'iyah, and we can't learn out from matzah or hakol that are chayiv, because matzah and hakol goes along with simcha. There's a third pasuk that says they're chayiv, so from there we can't learn to anywhere else in the Torah. Taisus adds to what the Gemara says here, that the same thing is also regarding the Taisus of Mishum. He says it's the same thing also regarding mitzvah say she'ein azman grama. So the question the Gemara asked before is, why don't we learn out from Talmud Torah and Peri V'Ribya, or from Talmud Torah and Pidyon Aben, to be a rule to Kol HaTorah Kula that women are pater from mitzvah say she'ein azman grama? And so the Gemara before answered that it's Shnei Ksuvim, you can't learn. But now according to Rabbi Yehuda, you could learn from Shnei Ksuvim. The Gemara never clearly answers that question. So Taisva says that Rabbi Yehuda does not agree to Rabbi Yochanan ben Breike, so therefore it's Shloisha Ksuvim. It's Talmud Torah, Peri V'Ribya, and Pidyon Aben. It's 3. If you don't know like Rabbi Yochanan ben Breike, you have these 3 mitzvahs that are Ein Azman Grama, and women are pater, so you can't learn from there to the rest of Torah. So that settles the whole thing. The maskana, it comes out that there's 2 sources to say that women are pater of mitzvah seishas man grama, or maybe 3. Either you learn it out from tefillin, the binyan av that we said before from tefillin, or we learn it out from the binyan av of re'iyah, or we learn it out from the hakish that it says over here. Okay. Let's go weiter. A second before we go weiter to the next thing, let me just mention an interesting thing that the Rebbe used to mention a lot of times regarding mitzvah seishas man grama, that women are pater. So it says in Kisvei Arizal and other places that it's not the pshat that they're really pater. Really, they're obligated in it. Elamai, because they're busy, so they don't have time to fulfill mitzvah say that are limited to time. Their husband that does the mitzvah is mitzi them with the mitzvah, so to speak. They're pater because their husband is doing the mitzvah for them. But be'emes, the mitzvah was given to them. Kiddush are actually chayiv. It's actually, I think Taisus brings it up somewhere here. Maybe it's even in this Taisus actually that I just mentioned. Taisus brings up regarding Kiddush that there's gimel ksuvim. There's another pasuk over here of Kiddush Hayayim, which women are chayiv. Okay, I'll call him, but so it's interesting word that the Rebbe says that Chlab, when they get mitzvah seishas man grama, the point is here that their husbands are meitzim. The Rebbe even actually adds there in the Sikha and says that starts even from before they get married, because the man and the woman are plag gufa from the moment that they're born. So whatever the husband does, even before they're married, is being meitzi his wife in the mitzvah seishas man grama. Okay, let's go to the.
But it's interesting. The mother learns it out from tefillin. Mm-hmm. But who said the reason why the pater from tefillin is because it's man grama?
It doesn't make a difference. It's a fact that it is as man grama. The source.
Good. So, but what's the connection? Once
we see that the tefillin is pater, and the fact is that it's man grama, it becomes a rule that any man grama is pater.
So how do you know that the national is pater from tefillin?
So, the national pater from tefillin, the Gemara said, because we learn it from Talmud Torah. Just like Talmud Torah, they're pater, so to tefillin are pater. You're going to ask me, let's learn out from Talmud Torah itself, that should become a rule that women are pater of any mitzvah similar to Talmud Torah, which is not Zman Grama. The Gemara asked that question here. And the Gemara answered that Talmud Torah and Peri V'Ribya are Shnei Ksuvim. You can't learn from there. And as I mentioned, according to the Maskana of the Gemara, it could even be it's Shloisha Ksuvim, because it's Talmud Torah, Peri V'Ribya, and Pidyon Aben. So you can't learn from there. If you go over this Gemara again, everything stems. The Gemara went through all the mitzvahs there, and it fits. Okay, let's go weiter here to what it said in the Mishnah. V'chol mitzvahs lo yisaseh v'cholu. When it comes to mitzvahs lo yisaseh, the women are going to be chayiv. What's the source for this? Amar Rav Yudah Amar Rav v'chein tanu d'mei Rabbi Shmuel. Or Makra, the pasuk says, Isha yisha ki yasam mikol chatei sa'adam. Man or a woman, they do from any aveda, and over there it says mikol chatei sa'adam that v'nichrasa. Is that the conclusion of the pasuk? No, it doesn't say v'nichrasa. It just says va'oshma nefesh shehid. She'll be guilty. She'll get a punishment for this. So from what we see from this is hishva akosov isha leish. The Torah is comparing the woman to the man. L'chol einshim shebetayra, to when it comes to all einshim in Torah, and that means all the lavim. For a mitzvah saseh, there's no einshim if you don't do a mitzvah saseh. But a lav, if you don't do a lav, you either get malchus or maybe even kodesh. So therefore, for a lav, where there's an einish, women are going to be chayiv in this. Now the Gemara brings another two drashas here about the chiyuv of women, even though it's not related to the halacha of the Mishnah. The Beir Rabbi Eliezer Tana, Makra, the pasuk says, Ashatasim lefneim, Hishva kosev isha leish. The Torah compares the woman to a man, l'chol dinim sheb'Torah, regarding all halachas of money matters. When it comes to a din Torah, and you have to paskin based on all the halachas of the Torah, so the same halachas apply to the man and the woman. The Bechizkiya Tana, Makra, the pasuk says, Vehemis ish isha, that here it's talking about an ox that gored and killed either a man or a woman, and then the halacha is that this ox that gored, the owner has to pay a kofer for a kapara for what happened here. So hishva kosev isha leish, the Torah compares the woman to the man, l'chol mises sheb'Torah, for anyone that got killed, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman. So here we see another instance where the Torah is comparing the man to the woman. Okay, so now the Gemara will explain why do we need these three different halachas here to compare the man to the woman. We're comparing it regarding a lav. We're comparing it regarding, what was the second thing over here? We're comparing it regarding the dinim of Bezdin Paskening, dinim mominus, money matters. And the third thing, we're comparing it regarding the payment of kaifer. Says the Gemara, it's necessary for the Torah to say all these three things. If the pasuk would only say the first point regarding lavin, I would say mishum kapara chas rachman Allah. Over there, the fact that it says va'ashma and that she could bring a kapara for that, so that's because the Torah had rachmanis on her, so she should be able to bring a kapara. Avol dina neme, but when it comes to dina, when it comes to money matters, eime ishtaba masomatan in. The halachas of the Torah ve'ela mishpatim ashatasim lefneim, that's maybe only for a man that deals in business. But ishalai, maybe for a woman, all those halachas that it says there regarding nizikin and mammon, maybe it doesn't apply for a woman. Just stop a second here. So Taisus asks an obvious question. The Gemara is saying that maybe I would say that a woman is chayiv and alav because of the kapara. So Taisus says the Torah is having rachmanis on her, and therefore it's obligating her to do to not do the lav. And if she does, she gets a kapara. If the Torah has rachmanis, let the Torah not give the chiyuv, and she wouldn't need a kapara. What's the rachmanis here? So Taisus says that really it's not going on this. There are certain things that we know clearly in the Torah that women are chayiv, like by arayis. Women are for sure chayiv in that. And on that, the Torah is giving them the option to get a kapara, and if it's a shogeg. So that's what this drush is going on. So really, the Rishonim say it comes out that it says in the pasuk va'ashma, it looked like in the Gemara before that this itself is the source, that they're chayiv in lavin, because they're chayiv in these averis that have a punishment to it, but it's not really the source. The fact that we find that they're chayiv in arayis, and that legabi dinim and legabi kaifer, women are like men, from this we compare to learn out to all lavin that they're going to be chayiv. That's how it's learned out. That's what it says in the Rishonim. Okay, weiter. The Gemara explains, V'yashminon ha. If would say only the fact that when it comes to dinei Torah, money matters, that women are just like men, I would say mishum d'chiyusehi, because this is basic for her to be able to live. If there's no halachas of damage and of stealing from her, and anyone could just take advantage of her, so then everyone will rob her. Aval kaifer, but when it comes to the halacha of payment for kaifer, when an ox gored and killed a man or a woman, so maybe I would say ish the bar mitzvahs in a man that was killed, and he's a person that could fulfill mitzvahs. There the Torah says that you have to pay this kaifer if he was killed, but ishalai, a woman that was killed, maybe it doesn't apply. And on the other hand, v'yashmin and ha, if we would say here, this halacha of kaifer, that you have to pay whether the man or a woman was killed, I would say, mishum de'eki ibud neshama. Maybe over here it's because such a terrible thing happens where someone was killed, a loss of a life completely. So chas rachman Allah. Here the Torah has rachmanis and says that there has to be a payment for this. Aval hanach tartiyei maloi. The other two, I would say that it doesn't apply necessarily to a woman. Tzriche, so the Torah is saying regarding all these three scenarios that applies to a woman. The last thing it said in the Mishnah was, Chutz mi baltakav and mi baltashchas chulu. The Mishnah brought three lavin that a woman is still chayiv in, is potter in, that is. And that is the baltakif, not to round out the haircut by when you keep the payas, and baltashchis, not to take off the beard. And the last one was baltatamel lemesim, by kayanim, to not become tummy to a mace. It does not apply to the benois aren, to the women. So the Gemara brings a source. We know the source to the fact that the girls that are benois aren, they're kainim, they're not osir to be metame to a mace, because the chsiv in that parsha it says amayra la kainim bnei aren. It says bnei aren v'lo benois aren. So only for the men, not for the women. But elo baltakif, that is baltashchis minol. How do we know the mitzvah of cutting off the payis or the beard? From where do I know that women are not chayiv in this? So the pasuk says d'chsiv lo sakifu pas roishchem, and so here it uses a plural term, and then it writes lo sashchis as paaz zikonecha, and here it uses a singular term. So okay, the Gemara is going to come back to that in a second, the singular and the plural. But here first the Gemara says as follows. It says these two lavin together. So we compare them. Kol sheyeshna ba'ashchase, yeshna ba'kofe. Whoever the lav of not taking off the beard applies to him, so the lav of not taking off the payis also applies to him. But v'hani nashi, when it comes to women, hoyo v'lo yisnu ba'ashchase, by them, the lav of taking off the beard does not apply, lesnu ba'kofe. So the lav of taking off the payis does not apply either. How do you know the lav of taking off the beard by the woman does not apply? So first the Gemara says, it's obvious. It's the zaken. A woman doesn't have a beard. But or the Gemara says it is a possibility that a woman should grow some hairs of a beard. So the Gemara brings now, it says, kra, there's the pasuk over here. We learned from this pasuk we just quoted before. Because al makra leisakifu pas roishchem. And then so as I pointed out before, it starts with a plural term. And then regarding the beard, it uses a singular term. From the fact that the Torah switches and makes it singular by the beard, so I say that it's coming to exclude something. Then Cain, if it wants it to be the same, so it should say the same, that their beard, including men and women, this is a mitzvah only for the man and not for the wife, not for the woman. And therefore then we compare from the lav of not taking off the beard to the lav of not taking off the payis, that the women are part there as well. But the Gemara now asks him, this v'loi, are women not chayiv in the lav of taking off the beard if it happens that they grow hairs of a beard? But we learned in the Braise, zekanisha, the beard of a woman, or vasaris, a man which is a saris that doesn't have signs of, he can't give birth, and he doesn't have the signs of a regular person, and he doesn't have a beard either. But shehelu seir, and they grew some hairs of a beard. So the beard that grows has the halach of a regular beard, and the isser of cutting it off applies for the woman and for the man. That's what it seems like, that it's in my lav lashchasa. Don't you think this braisa here is referring to the lav of destroying the beard? So here we see that the women are chayiv in this lav. Amar Abaye says that cannot be the pshat of this braisa. And here Abaye actually brings a different source to prove that it must be that women are pater from this lav of cutting the beard. This cannot be referring to the lav of cutting the beard, because the yalif pa'as mibnei Aaron, because we learn out gzeira shava from the term pa'as that it says here in this pasuk. When it says it, it says it b'chlal, b'negei to all Yidden, and then there's the lashon of pa'as that it also says by b'nei Aaron. Over there it also says pa'as zekonam lo yigalechu. So we there's gzeira shava. We compare the two, and we say as follows: Mala lo noshim peturais. Just like in the pasuk where it's speaking about b'nei Aaron, women are pater. Afkan noshim peturais. Here as well, women are pater. So the chiddush of what the Gemara is saying right now with this gzeira shava is, where does it say Bnei Aaron? And this is in Parshas Emor. Bnei Aaron says in the beginning of the Parsha, where it says the Isser of a kohen not being metamet mesim. Now the Gemara is saying that Bnei Aaron in the beginning of the Parsha also goes on the continuation of the Psukim later, when it talks about Leisashchis Pa'as Pas Kanam Lo Yegalechu. That on the continuation of the Parsha, we also say that what it said in the beginning, Bnei Aaron, V'loi Bnei Aaron, goes on that. So we see there that women are excluded, and therefore we could say Gzeira Shava, that we learn from there that women are excluded from this lav of cutting the beard. That was the source that Abaye brought. Now, the Gemara is going to get soon back to the pshat of the braisa that we brought before. We brought a braisa that sounded like the braisa clearly said that women are chayiv in this lav. The Gemara is going to come back to that. But for now, the Gemara is going to focus now on this source that Abaye brought, which is the Gzeira Shava, from what it says by Kainan. Frag the Gemara on this Gzeira Shava. Now, if what Abaye is saying here is true, the chikasa b'nei Aaron, when it says in the beginning of Parshas Emor b'nei Aaron, akula and yoneksiv, that b'nei Aaron excluding women is not only going on what it says in the beginning of the Parsha that they should not be metamet mesim, but it's going on the whole continuation of the Parsha, including the pasuk where it says the pa'as roishchem or pa'as zakonam, So in that also women are excluded. So if so, says the Gemara, you don't need a Gzeir Shava altogether. Because Nishta Kramine, even withoght a Gzeir Shava, the Torah could be quiet of this Gzeir Shava. And then V'teisi V'kal V'chaimer. I'll learn from what it says, B'nigeya to Kayanim, to every single Yid with the following Kal V'chaimer. V'anam, and I will say, Uma Kayanim, if when it comes to Kayanim, Shariba B'makos of mitzvahs Yiseirais, we know Kayanim have extra mitzvahs, but nevertheless, when it comes to this lav of cutting the beard, we say that b'nei Adayim, v'loy b'nei Sadayim, we exclude the women. So Yisrael, by Yidden that don't have these extra mitzvahs like Kol Sheken, for sure I should say that the lav of cutting the beard, that the women are excluded. So what do I need a Gzeir Shava for? Why is Abai bringing a Gzeir Shava? Says the Gemara, no, you still need the Gzeir Shava because it's not so clear that when it says b'nei Adayim, it goes on the whole parsha. Ilav Gzeir Shava, if not for the Gzeir Shava, hava amine hifsek inyan. I would have thought that when it says b'nei Adayim, it goes on just on the Tumah that it speaks about on the beginning of the parsha. So if you're using the Gzeir Shava to clarify that the B'nei Adam goes on everything, so the Gemara says the Gzeir Shava won't necessarily work for that, because this Gzeir Shava is needed for something else. But now we can still say Hifsek Inyan, that when it says B'nei Adam, excluding women, it only goes on the beginning of the parsha, where it talks about Tumah. It's not going on the Isser of cutting the beard in the Hemshech of the parsha. Now, V'imishum Gzeir Shava, you said that that's what the Gzeir Shava is teaching me, that it does go on the whole parsha. The Gzeir Shava teaches something else. From this Gzeir Shava, we learn another halacha that clarifies B'chlal what's the nature of this Isser of cutting the beard. Look at the Tanya as it says in the Braisa. In one place the Torah says, Lo yigalechu, that you should not shave off the beard. Yochel, so I would think, Gilcha b'misparayim, if you shave the beard with a scissors. Yechayev, you should also be chayev. Tamid loima, so the Torah says, Lo sashchis. Lo sashchis is saying that it should not be destroyed. So if it's taken off with a scissor, it doesn't cut off the hairs from the roots. On the other hand, Yochel, I would think, Liktoi b'malkit b'rehitni, that if someone used a malkit b'rehitni, which is a plane, which is carpenter tools that are used, and a person uses this to cut his beard, it does cut very deeply. So I would think yechayev should be chayev. Talmud loymar lo yigalechu. When it says lo yigalechu means the way the shaver that's usually used to shave with, not some other kind of carpenter tool. Okay, so we put these two psukim together, the pasuk of lo yigalechu and the pasuk of lo sashchis, and from this I learn out giluach sheyesh ba ashchasa. It has to be a giluach, a full shaving, but it also has to destroy. It has to be something that's usually used to shave, and also has to destroy. Havaim is a tar. So therefore, the isam and atayra of shaving the beard is only if it's with a shaver, with a tar, with a
razor.
With a razor, right? Okay, so now this is the Gzeir Shava here, though. This is all based on the Gzeir Shava because where it says Lo Yigalechu, that's written. I think Lo Yigalechu is written by by the Kohanim, and Lo Sashchis is the pasuk that's written regarding cutting the beard by Yisrael. So how do we know to compare these two psukim? Only because of this Gzeir Shava that we said before, Pa'as. So we can't say that the Gzeir Shava is coming to teach me to compare the Kohanim to Yisrael to exclude women. To say that the B'nai Aaron goes in the whole parsha to exclude women because we're using this Gzeir Shava for something else. So the Gemara answers that we can use the Gzeir Shava for two different things here. Because Imkei, Nichtev Kra, Es Shebizakanecha. This pasuk could have said Es Shebizakanecha. In this pasuk where it says Leisashchis es Pa'azakanecha, it wasn't necessary to say clearly the word Leisashchis. And Rashi says the reason is because earlier on the Torah used already the term Hashchasa. It said Leisashchis. It says before Leisashchis regarding the payas by the Rosh, right before that. So afterwards, by the Zakin, all it has to say is, just like I said, that the Torah would write, just like Loisashchis the payis, so too, Eshub is Kanecha. The same applies to the beard. But it doesn't have to say again the word pas. Or again, it doesn't have to say the word hashchasa, that is. Why does it say the word hashchasa again? Right, so that's extra. So am I saying it right over here? One second. Im kanichtav kra es shebez kanecha. It's the word pa'as, not the word sashches. The word pa'as is extra. You have over here in this Gemara, if you look in Ois Beis on the side of the Gemara, so you can see it says lo sakifu pa'as reishchem, lo sashches es pa'as zekanecha. Once it said pa'as, but regarding reishchem, it doesn't have to repeat the word pa'as regarding zekanecha. My pa'as zekanecha. Why does it repeat it twice? Shmamina Tarti. We can learn from here 2 points. There's the Gzeir Shavah that teaches me to put together Lo Yigalechu and Leisashchis, as we said before. And also, we learn from this extra word Pa'as to say that the Bnei Aaron in the beginning of the Parsha goes on the whole Hemshech of the Parsha. And we're going to learn from here that just like by the Kayanim, the women are going to be potter from this lav of cutting the beard. The same thing by the Yisrael. Okay, that's the conclusion of the Gemara. This is the pshat in the drasha that Abaye said. Now the Gemara comes back to the Braise that was quoted before, right? The Gemara brought before a Braise. It clearly said the beard of a woman and of a saris. So it's a zaken l'chol devreim. It has the halach of a regular beard. So the Gemara explains now. That the beard of a woman or a saris is a regular beard. What is the relevance of this? It can't be regarding this lav of cutting the beard. It's regarding the halachas of tumas negoyim. By the tumas of negoyim, there's different halachas. If the nega appears in the body in a place where there's no hair, and when it's on a place where there is a hair, it's different color, the hair, it's a different halacha. So it's coming to say that those unique halachas for the nega and the place where hair is, applies to a woman as well. In fact, the Gemara tumas negoyim, that's what it's coming to teach. That clearly says in the pasuk, v'ish oy isha ki by nega b'reisha b'zaken. Clearly says that the tumas negoyim, even as far as the place of the hairs is concerned, is for ish and isha. It's coming to say when it comes to the tara of the negoyim, that the same halachas of the tara that applies to the man applies to the woman. In fact, the Gemara, that's by a nega in the beard or in the hairs. Says the Gemara, taras negoyim nami pshita. The fact that the tara applies to a woman as well, that's also obvious. Kivin the bas tumehi. If the Torah says she becomes Tommy, so bas tarihi, obviously she has the way to become tar, just like anyone else. So the Gemara goes back to the previous answer. I still need a pasuk to say that the tumah of Negoyim applies to a woman. Because I would think to say litzdodim ksiv. Maybe you have to read the pasuk sort of with a break, and I'd read it as follows: Isha yisha kiya by nega beroisha bezaken beroish. That is, first you read the first part of the pasuk beroish, the hairs in the head. When it talks about the hairs in the head, that applies to the man and the woman. And then when it says oy bezakon, or in the beard, that is not referring to the woman. Maybe that part of the pasuk is only referring to a man that usually has a beard. So hadarasan leish, hadarasan, that goes together. Sorry, it goes together. Oy bezaken hadarasan leish. Maybe when it writes the words oy bezaken, that's maybe only talking about the man. Kamash malon. That's why That's why this Braise is teaching me over here that I learn out from. That it's coming to say that it goes on the man and the woman. Okay, that's the conclusion of the Inyan. This starts a new Inyan over here.